Okay, once you're ready.
So for my work experience, I had various ideas of what I actually wanted to do. When I finished my college course, I got interested in music for film, sound for film, sort of Foley art, Foley sound and sound side of things. And it sort of led me to think that when I finish uni, I want to progress and gain a job in the sound for film, TV area of the industry. So when it came to work experience, I wanted to base my work experience around that. So my first option that I looked at was Line Pictures. It's based near my house in Chilwell, so it was somewhere easy for me to get to. And I applied through the website, basically just sent off an email saying that I was interested in having work experience, and if they could send me some details of how to apply. And it was probably about a month after that I received a form. With the form, they informed me that work experience you wouldn't be able to be taken on. I think it was from May onwards, which obviously going to be a problem for my deadline was in May beginning. I filled in the form, but didn't actually get round to sending it off because I got some information on the BBC, and obviously the BBC have moved up to the northwest, so it was really a chance for me to be able to progress. Obviously due to my time and I was unable to proceed with this, obviously things came up and I didn't get around to sending off forms and stuff. So I ended up doing my work experience at the college, and I got introduced to Paul Skinner, who's the main tech at the college, by Mike Moran. I'd spoken to Mike about my work experience and he introduced me to Paul. So Paul is the main tech person at the college and runs most of the shows that take place throughout the year. This varies from dance shows to drama shows to music shows, and I was mainly interested in the music shows, which take part 3 times a year. Each year they're allowed to take on an apprentice who helps out Paul throughout these shows and any jobs that are lined up for him, as well as sessions that are run by Paul for students. So the first task was to contact Paul, and I did this with the help of Mike. I went down to the studio and exchanged email addresses and got talking to Paul about what I wanted to do for my work experience. When we exchanged email addresses, Paul informed me that there was a show coming up. It was on the 8th of April, which was the Friday after I went to see him, and he said that it was an outside company and it would be a great opportunity for me to get involved because it was involving other people and not just involving people at the college. So when I got home, I emailed Paul, asked him usual questions like, what's the uniform I have to wear, what time do I have to be there, how long is the show going to go on for? And he emailed me back straight away saying I had to wear black and I had to be there for 9 AM. I also asked how I get into the building because it was REM weeks, the college was closed, and he just asked me to meet him outside the college and he'd let me in. So when it came to the day, I got together a notepad stuff, arrived at college for 9 AM and Paul met me outside. I gained quite a few new skills throughout the day, as it was only me and Paul who were actually in charge of the show. So when I arrived, we went into G2 and the set had already been set up and Paul had set it up with the company the night before, just so it was ready for us to come in, rig up lights, sound check, get everything sorted. I was first given the plan today and I start straight away. Paul basically just said, if you're unsure with anything, ask me, and obviously he's helped me with it. Obviously as a music tech student I had skills in how to set up a microphone, rig up stage boxes, placement of microphones, being able to sound check, and he basically just left that to me. He told me that there would be one mic at the side of the stage in front of the set, and I basically had to go into the back, set that up, then sound check it, and I just got him to speak down the mic and sound check it, and that was basically that done. He then gave me some lights to set up. He'd already done the main light, but there was a couple of lights on the floor, that he got me to set up. He showed me how to do it. I went in and was able to, you know, set up different lights, and then he showed me the where he'd be doing all the lighting stuff from. The company arrived around about 11 o'clock, and it was run by Peter. I can't remember his second name. Peter Mortimer, and he was the author of the book The Croak, the King and the Change in the Weather, which is what the play was going to be based on. So as soon as Peter arrived, Paul introduced me to him, and I basically got some information about what the play was about, got a play script which I got there, and he basically obviously told me who was involved and stuff. And the play was to be performed by children of the Himmer Elementary School in Shatler, of a refuge camp. And that was one of the problems, is when the company arrived, the children just basically just came in and just started running about. They were probably about 11 to about 14, and obviously because there was only a few of them who were able to speak English, they weren't familiar with the surroundings, how to behave and stuff. So we sort of had to, or Paul had to sort of calm them down and tell them that they had to wait while we set up and stuff. And they were pretty fascinated with both of us because they hadn't seen anything like that before. So when the show, I got informed that the show was to take place twice, one at 2 and one at 7. So because Paul had already set up all the lights, he just said there wasn't that much for me to do. I was to be in charge the whole day of keeping an eye on the microphone, the stage box, making sure everything was taped down because the children would be running behind the set. So we did all that, and then both shows ran pretty smoothly. It started off with Peter coming onto stage and basically just introducing the play, and I sort of learned a lot about this company. They've been travelling, well, over the past 3 years. Peter had gone to Beirut and met the children, and that's when he adapted his book and adapted it into a play. He then obviously got the children together and they performed it in Beirut at the camp. I think it was in 2008, sorry. And then after talks of funding and accommodation, they brought it over to the UK in 2009. They've been touring ever since, and here was the last 2 times that they performed. As I said, I was in charge of keeping an eye on the equipment. I also watched, because there was not much for me to do when the show was taking place, I watched Paul take over, well, obviously do the lights, and I was able to sort of get some ideas of how things worked. And he's also asked me to be the model for when he was setting out the lights and to move to different places, and he told me what he was doing, like checking lights and stuff. And they also had someone in to do the sound, but we had to guide him on how the desk ran, to do the health and safety announcements and stuff. So it was sort of just, when it came to the show, it was sort of just a bit of sitting around for me. Overall, both performances they performed ran quite smoothly. I think that was due to the fact that the sound engineer knew what he was doing, and the kids had performed the play so much, it was like second nature to them, and they were extremely well behaved, so we never really had any problems. And obviously Paul was skilled with the lights, so he knew what he was doing then. Once the show had finished, I had to be in charge of taking down the microphone, because one of the problems when we were just waiting around for the show to begin, the children were interested in it and sort of taking it off the stand and playing with it. So Paul had informed me to go over, take the mic down, wrap it all up, make sure that all the cable, he made me leave all the cables down, but make sure all the mic cables were away and stuff. And then that was basically it. He just said, obviously you can go, and that was about 8 o'clock, so it had been like an 11-hour day. Choosing this as my work experience actually felt like a really good choice. At the time, I was thinking a bit, maybe it's not what I want to do because it's got nothing to do with sound for film, but I know now that there's a lot more to do within the film industry. Obviously you've got lights and stuff, and that, I think, knowing that I've got that experience now will come in handy if I'm ever, you know, Kat, can you do that for me? Can you set up those lights up? You know, I'll be able to do it, so I've got more experience. I also built on my knowledge of how, you know, different mics, you know, basically just the setup of sound, and I was actually able, because when I've done previous shows, I've actually had to have help with sound checking, but I was able to just go in, run up, set the monitors, speakers, they were already set up, but you know, run them up, chat lines and stuff like that, and was able to obviously give advice to the person who was doing the sound. I also gained on my people skills as well, which I've never really had much confidence in speaking to people, but throughout the day I met more people and built my contacts and was, you know, giving them advice on how to do things, and they thanked me for doing the show as well. So, any questions?
Okay, well, I suppose a key thing that with professional development, do you have any additional hours that you did with, say, vocal booth or anything else? Is that...
The only additional hours I did was when it was in the first year when I did that big hair day with Alan, and that was a full day as well. That was down at Toxic TV, and it was me and Graham, and we had to go down and do get there. I think it was for 8:30 or 9 o'clock. We met outside the college and got took down to
how many hours was that then about?
That ran from about 9 in the morning to about 10 at night, because it was being broadcasted from 9 till about 6.
So it's about 12 hours, yeah. Maybe, say.
From about 9 till 6 it was mostly, you know, line checking, making sure everything was set up, cameras, checking that there was sound going from the actual area to the internet, and then I was basically in charge of putting mics on people, checking that the sound was actually going from the area upstairs to the internet, and keeping an eye on that, checking levels and stuff.
Yeah, okay. Now, have you made any reference to that in your? I
haven't, no.
Because really, you should, well, I mean, it's obviously...
To be honest, it didn't actually even cross my mind.
Because
you just mentioned it then.
One of the issues is that your hours are...
Yeah.
You didn't do anything else with Paul?
No, because, I mean, I spoke to Mike about it. I asked Paul at the time if there was anything else, and he was like, well, no, not really, but I'll let you know. And I've emailed him twice now, and he's not got back to me. But obviously I've not had time to come into the college because I've had work and stuff, okay. Other assignments that have been due in, and obviously the college have been closed for quite a while as well.
Okay, I'll have to have a look at that though, because obviously it really, you know what I mean, it's not even... Yeah. Yeah, I'll pause this second.